I can get this a little straightened out, pulled down a little. Okay, maybe a little more. Okay. Good morning. Had a little difficulty, but I'm figuring things out as I go. And I see we might be a little short of people just yet, so I'll just go through some of my announcements. Hopefully, oh yeah, I'm a little late. All right, let's just double check one more thing here. It is a learning process, that's for sure. It's just checking. Time just kind of slipped away from me this morning. Okay, we are set. Okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and start. I'm already a little late, but I wanted to bring up a couple of things that I found out about. One of them is they have a a new thing here about doing group shipping. It's now available. And what group shipping is, it allows you to group multiple orders into one shipment to a single address, which would help me and my customers save on shipping costs. Now, I think this would work best if you had like a party, a Stampin' Up! Party, and got together and did something like that. But anyway, I just thought I'd let you know that that possibility is available. They do have more information, question and answers online, and you can find out about that. But I just wanted you to be aware that that was a possibility out there. Another big item. This month, only this month, they're doing an amazing sale. I've never seen this before myself, but you can join Stampin' Up! As a demonstrator for $35. Normally, it's $99. $35, and you still get $125 worth of product. That is an awesome, awesome deal. And if you've considered wanting to get a discount, which is what brought me into Stampin' Up! To begin with, this would be a great way to go. This would give you an opportunity to get a good chunk of the items that you need to get started in Stampin' Up! It gives you a great discount. Plus, after this, as a demonstrator, you get a 20% discount on top of that. So as you order, you'll continue to get discounts. I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that this is a potential out there. I would certainly check it out if you've been thinking about that. I know I prefer discounted prices. When I was signing up, I knew I was buying a lot of stuff, and I figured if I'm buying that much stuff, I wanted a discount, and so I signed up to be a demonstrator. I have not regretted it. Although I had no intentions of teaching classes at the time, I just only wanted the discount. The joy I felt as I was creating cards just grew and grew, and to the point where I felt like I was going to burst if I didn't share it. Hello, that's why I'm here. So, anyway, I wanted you to be aware of that potential. Now, I don't want to waste too much time. We have 4 cards to go through. I have a little bit of talking about each card. The first card is a fun fold, and this is using the Amber Autumn bundle, and it comes with this very intricate die, which is what I focused on for my card. Now, in creating a card using this intricate die. It's a die cut, so I could do it for you. But um, while I really liked this design, I couldn't stamp it for you. And if you didn't have the set, you wouldn't be able to do the card. So I made do with a die cut pumpkin, which we're going to fix up. And I wanted to show you my original idea. This is a piece of basic beige cardstock. And what I did was I used my blending brushes and added color to the cardstock and just patches. And then I went and I cut it out. I cut out the colored cardstock with using the intricate die. And then I placed it on a background. Now, I mean, it's pretty dramatic on the black, actually. But I wanted to let you know this is something you could do, kind of create your own background colors and things like that. And then for the card itself, if you have the set, I die cut and colored the little pumpkin and squash cluster here. And you can add that to the front. And then I love this Autumn Wishes for sentiment. I just really like it. So anyway, I also am fond of acorns, so win-win. But I just wanted to show you the potential of what you could do using blending brushes and your ink pads and just adding the color you want to the cardstock. Now, for this card, let me get my pieces out. Let me move the stuff away. Keep our space clear. All right. So, for our card, we have the die cut pumpkin. And then inside this are the leaves that we're going to use to go on it. Oh, maybe only lost one. I'll have to find the other leaf. Okay. I was using old Post-it notes. Oh, there it is. And a leaf slipped out. Okay. So die cut pumpkin and some die cut leaves to decorate it. We have the frame. We have the what I use. This is Regal Winter DSP, basically from last year, but they carried it over a little bit because there was some left over. Honestly, I loved this paper. I bought a lot of it. This one was kind of tones of yellow and a little bit, it looks like wild wheat in here too. But I got that, and we will be adding it to this black cardstock layer. And then we have, these are both for inside panels, and that'll go on the inside. But let's focus on the pumpkin to begin with. Now, what I did, since I couldn't do the set, I decided to let you make your own pumpkin. Now, as a kid, I used to make pumpkins all the time because I really liked pumpkins. I just did. I can't help what was what, but I just thought pumpkins were cool. And I still think pumpkins are cool. In fact, I had a pumpkin cookie jar. Unfortunately, my grandkids broke it. But I also have a pumpkin soup tureen, which is still in one piece, thank goodness. Okay, so I just kind of drew some lines to create the pumpkin image. And then I'm going to take, now I use the Tombow glue, but I put it in a fine tip bottle, and I probably should check to make sure this is coming out. Here we go. Yeah, coming out. All right, so I'm just going to figure out which way the leaves. You can determine on your die cuts, the rougher side is the back side, the smoother side at this front. And I'm just putting a few dots of glue on here, trying to avoid the open cuts so we can, let's see, I think that one, yeah. Okay. And I'm going to slip this on here, kind of tuck that around. Okay. And then this other one, just going to add it on. Okay, so here we go. I don't know if I'll go behind. Let's see, just a little bit. There we go. Okay, we'll let that dry. We'll just kind of leave that for a minute so it can dry. Then we're going to work on the die cut. Now, my favorite trick with something so intricate is to use a sponge and all right, I saw it when I wasn't looking for it. Now I don't see it. All right, I've got a sponge, but I use tacky glue. Now I'm going to explain something. With the Tombow glue, when it dries clear, but it stays sticky. With tacky glue, it dries clear, but it doesn't stay sticky. And when I'm adding a pool of glue to my silicone mat, honestly, after I'm done using the glue, even though it dried, I don't want it to remain sticky because I use a silicone mat for a lot of things, and I don't need to have things sticking to it inadvertently. So I'm just adding that. Another thing you can do is we do have this border here. And for that, I feel brave enough to maybe put little dots. You don't want a lot because you don't want the glue seeping out, which is another reason why I use a silicone mat to catch what I don't want on my card. I just found that the dots work pretty good for me. Gives me enough glue to adhere without overwhelming. And then for the sponging, I just simply take the sponge and dip it to get some on the sponge. And then I just kind of hit the spots that I want secure. One's mostly like sticking out where it might bend. And what happens is any excess glue you might have will be on the silicone mat. Now, a word of caution when you use this technique is you want to make sure that if you're doing multiple pieces that you don't place the new pieces on top of where the wet glue is. That would not work. So I'm taking the black panel and I'm just going to line this up as best I can. I'm going to turn on the light so I can see a little better. There. Now this one we're going to put a frame around, so it's not as crucial, but I do want a good adhesion to the card back. Now we're going to add the frame. Now this frame was cut out of pecan pie, and I embossed it. It's an old embossing folder. It's got wood grains in it, and I just thought it would make it a little more autumny. And that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that real quick. In this case, we can use the Tombow because we have a little more space to work with. Plus, another thing about working with embossed pieces is that because of the raised and receded texture, you need a little extra glue because not everything is going to be adhering. Okay, so I'm just taking this and I am lining it up. Now here's another thing. I am used to a little bit lower surface. So I think what I'm going to do today to help me is I'm going to raise my chair. And I also see, let's see. I should have some here. Yeah. I also see I got a little glue where I didn't want it. And we'll get rid of that. Handy wipes are handy. Okay. So we have this. We have the front. Uh-oh, I forgot. Oh my goodness. I totally forgot. This was going to be fun. No, I haven't forgotten it. We're good. We're good. Scaring myself. Oh, all right. And then for this, we can add the pumpkin wherever you prefer it to be. And if you want in the center, I think I want that to glue a little better. Okay. If you want it to, I think I might put it in the center this time. Just add the glue. In this case, I'm going to add more glue to the back of the leaves. Oh, and then add it. Making it extra because we have, again, the textured surface. And I'm just going to put this right here. It's front and center. Okay. That is the front panel of the card. Now, we want, and I'm afraid I'm not following the instructions. Okay. I did that. Let's see. We did that. Okay. Card base. Yeah, I did follow the instructions. Okay, natural. Now, actually, you don't even need what I did, this is the card base. And it's 8.5 by 5.5. But I scored it at 4 1/4, which is the halfway mark. But because this is a fun fold, I made an additional score. And I scored that in 2 1/8. So it's half of the front. Okay. So you didn't need your paper trimmer because I already did it for you. Okay. Now you can use your bone folder to smooth things out. I have a habit. I usually have hard nails and I can add things. Now, before I add the front panel, I'm going to go ahead and add my 2 layers. Let's see, what did I put in the inside? Let's look at my card. Oh, yeah. For the card I did, I'm not going to do it right now, but I had a stamp that I liked, and I just stamped it and decorated and colored, so it was ready. I didn't put a particular sentiment. This one is kind of a thank you card, and usually with those, I leave that open so that you can write whatever message you want to put to the person you're thanking. So in this case, we're just going to take and add this. And if you had a particular, something that you wanted to put on here, feel free to decorate it. That's perfectly fine. Because that's part of the whole creative process. You want to be able to create and, listen to your little creative urges. You'd be surprised where it leads you sometimes. It's like, oh, I didn't think of that. Let's try it. Oh, yeah, I really like that. Or, nah, I think it'd be better if we did something else. But you don't know until you try. And that's the thing I've always said in the craft classes I've taught is you might think, oh, I can't create cards, but you don't really know until you try. And the other thing I discovered, because that's something I used to say about floral design, oh, if somebody came and they wanted flowers arranged, I would run the other way because I had no confidence in my ability to arrange flowers. I would just get frustrated. Oh, so frustrated. Mm. Then I took a floral design class. Once I learned about the tools that were available, it made a world of difference, and I was able to create lovely arrangements. Tools make a difference. Tools make it so much easier, and I will be showing you some of those tools today that I use in my card creating. All right, now this I want to be lined up with the card front, which it's the same size, so it shouldn't be really difficult. But the other thing I want to do is I want to show you how I do it so you don't have excess glue seepage. Because if you had glue seep out over here, you'd be end up shutting your card, gluing your card shut. So I'm taking, yeah, you can see it. I'm taking tape runner here and I'm putting it right there on this edge that's folded. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to put tape runner on that edge. Okay. And then if some of it goes beyond the edge of the card, you can just kind of push it back. And then I'm going to line this up. And I find it easier holding my fingers in place and kind of feeling my way. A little bit more. Okay. So, and to this, I would add my sentiment, whatever I decided on. And I take, this is a glue eraser I'm using, and I take it to erase any excess glue I run across. Of course, I think I got glue on my fingers this time. There's a little bit there I'm going to erase. Word of caution. So much easier to take care of it before it gets out of hand. And there, with the addition of your sentiment, you have your first card. I like autumn. I'm always happy to make something autumny. Anyway, that's your first card. And while I am picking things up and putting them away, you are certainly welcome to kind of catch up so you're ready for the next one. Put this here. And I like to take my instructions and I like to add them the picture of, or the card itself, a sample of the card, so that in the future I can refer to it. And if I have any questions about the instructions themselves, I can look it up. And that fixes that. All right. Now this next card, oh my gosh. I just thought it was so beautiful. And that's a big reason why I'm sharing, because I just thought it was a stunning card. We're using Cherry Cobbler base, which is slightly darker, and a real red panel that I embossed using this Peaceful Greenery 3D embossing folder. Now this actually goes with another set, but I liked it. In fact, I used it a lot. You'll see it again. This is what I mean by a tool. When I was doing stamping 30 years ago, in order to do embossing, you had to use a stylus, you had to use a light box, you had to take and have the design cut out of a metal piece so the light would shine through to show you where to carve, you will, press down with the stylus to do your engraving. It was hard on the hands and it took forever. Now we have these absolutely cool embossing folders that have the design in the plastic excels. This one's recessed and this one's, popped up. And then you put your card cardstock in there. You close it up and run it through the stamping die cut embossing machine, which has got rollers, compression rollers that put the pressure on, so you end up with the embossing on your cardstock. So much better. And as a side note, I have even used these folders to emboss soda can metal that I cut from the soda cans. It worked fine. It worked really good. Now, there's more I want to tell you about this particular card. I love this card so much that I did a kind of a test, and I took this card and I used one sheet of the gold foil, and I was able to make 10 cards. And I broke it down, and as it turned out, I was able to make these 10 cards in approximately 2.5 hours from scratch. That means I hadn't already prepared the pieces and just assembled them. I mean, cut the pieces, emboss everything from scratch. Awesome. I made them. I'm so glad. I'm probably going to make more. This paper, this is Traditions of Christmas paper. It's currently out of stock. I'm very sorry to tell you, but it's due in the week of November 17th, so that could still give you time to create cards. I'm using this paper a lot in this particular class session, and it is just so stunningly gorgeous. The gold foil, which I've already die cut for you, I use, well, let me get them. I use the textured note dies. We've used these before. They come in many sizes. They've got the decorated edge, and it just worked. It just added that little extra something. And this is one set. If you haven't gotten it, that would be my recommendation. This is a good one to grab. Now, we're putting the card together. Oh my gosh, so much fun. Okay. We have, well, I cheated a little. I prepared some things ahead of time. We have the inside panel, the top panel with the embossing on it. We have this gold layer and then the DSP that goes on it. And then if you look at the card, we're going to take and add the ribbon. And then we'll add the greeting. Now, that's what I'm going to start with first. Okay, I'm going to fold this to begin with, just so it's ready. Oh, that's perfectly even. Okay. I'm going to add the glue. Now, in this case, if you are comfortable with it, you could use tape runner. I am just more comfortable with having the little bit of flexibility that liquid glue gives me. So I'm using liquid glue, but I'm keeping away from the edges because in addition to the possible spread when you press it down, it also gives me a little cushion as far as centering it in my position that I want. Now, before I lay it down, I get it approximately where I think I want it. But then I look at it and I even it up. And then for this, I'm going to set it aside for a moment and add the glue. Or add the weight just the glue can set. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to add it to my cardstock. Again, balance. And again, using the liquid glue. So again, because this is heavily embossed, this is the 3D embossing folder we're working with, I'm adding extra glue. I don't usually use that much glue, but I'm adding extra glue. I still try and keep away from the edge because I don't want it to seep. I'm going to center that. I hold it up so I can see, and I move it around for a few seconds while I have it and get it where I want it. Okay. Now I can transfer that weight over here. Now, for the season's greetings, I've included a die cut. And I have the stamp. I used real red. And, oh, let's talk about these greetings. Okay, I'm using Season's Greetings for this one because it fits. And what happens is I chose this size of a label because it went well with using the ribbon. I didn't want to cover up too much of that gorgeous paper. And so that's how I worked around it. Now there's a little technique I'm going to show you here. And I want to, let's put that over here. Okay. I want to help you succeed in getting the ribbon placed. Now, this ribbon had been on a spool and it has kind of a natural curl. When I got it out of the spool, it was even curlier, you know. So I discovered, you know, how when you're a kid and your paper curled, you could uncurl it by running over the edge of a desk. Well, that's kind of what I did with my ribbon, and it was much more cooperative. Now, what I do is I looked about where I want it, and I'm using my, let's see if I can get it down here a little bit further. There we are. Oh, perfect. Okay. I'm using my grid paper that I have underneath my glass mat. Now, this is my make do. Stampin' Up! Has a glass mat with a grid already on it. And it sells it like in a kit because it has like a, I don't know if it's chamois or what, but a cloth for cleaning. And it has all the grid line. It's probably a little bit bigger than my glass mat, but it's got everything there to work with. I already was using the glass mat because it's much easier to clean. And I just couldn't see making the additional purchase. I'm kind of more of a make-do person. Now, because I want this greeting, I wanted to show a little bit of the cardstock below it and, you know, good size portion above. I'm looking here on my grid and I'm seeing it's 1, 2, 3, about 3 blocks up or 3/4 of an inch. I'm lining it up. If you can see this line here, I'm lining it up with this to help me be balanced on both sides. Okay, I'm going to be adding that later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it pretty much balanced on both sides. I'm going to try to hold it in place, turn it over, and then naturally I go and I mess it up again. So what I'm using my grid here, 1, 2, 3, I'm lining it up. I'm taking this card, I'm lining it up with that line kind of in the center of where the ribbon is. Excuse me. And now I'm using the tape runner and I'm adding some tape to where the ribbon's going to go. And I can pull it over, press it down, and then once the first one's done, I can be a little firmer with the second one. But you don't want to pull too hard because you don't want this to bow. You just want it snug. And then you take and look and see, is that the way you want it? And then you're going to add the sentiment. Now, I added the sentiment with dimensionals. And, oh, good. I got new dimensionals out because I'm running low on my dimensionals. So what I did was I put the dimensionals kind of both top and bottom. So I want it to catch the ribbon. Yeah, that's about it for that page. I want to catch the ribbon and hold it in place. So here I'm doing lower here and higher here. Okay. And then I just remove the protective covering. Now dimensionals are pretty strong. Oh my gosh. If you make a mistake when you're first placing them, I'm going to move this a little closer to me. If you make a mistake when you're first placing them, you have a little bit of time to pick them up and move them again. Now, sometimes I find it handy to use my reverse tweezers because I grab hold and then I can look and see with all my fingers in the way, is that where I want it? Oh, I want it down a little bit further. And there we go. And then I can press it and it'll hold in place. Now, what I discovered is with the dimensionals, while you first place them, you may have the ability to remove them again. But after they've been there for a little bit, and of course, pressing down helps to assure they stay in place. Now we are back to our card front. And we're going to place that on there. Now, you have a choice. And in this case, I think I did. I put some dimensionals on to pop it up a little. You don't have to. That's up to you. I have the dimensionals out. Well, actually, let's use up what's left on here. This is another thing about dimensionals. Even though if you've used the regular shaped ones, you have these that you can still use as well. So you still have dimensionals. I'm going to add some there and there and there. Now, I want to point something out. I am putting these dimensionals in areas that don't include where I put the dimensionals on the Season's Greetings. The reason for this, as somebody was kindly reminding me of, is that when your cards go through the post office, you don't want them to be too thick or they'll want to charge you for a package. And by avoiding where the dimensionals are here and keeping them in other areas, it allows you to have the stability of the raised area, but also it doesn't add double thickness because you've avoided it. Yeah, we're done. Okay, and here's another time when I might want to use the reverse tweezers. Okay, my problem is getting the light just right. Okay, that looks about right. I'm going to leave it and see. Yes, I like it. Boom, and then I press. All right, let's do the inside. Now, this is your inside panel. You're free to choose what other sentiment you want. I also included a strip to decorate the inside, as I did here. And that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to add it. In this case, I'm going to leave a little white edging. And I know the strip's a little longer than I need. That's okay. I can cut off the excess. Now I had okay, there we go. Okay. Now I went ahead and stamped my sentiment. To make this a little quicker for you, let's talk about the sentiments for a little bit. What I did, I kind of went rogue. I have a lot of Christmas sets from previous years, and I did get this one with a lot of sentiments that goes with the traditional labels dies. I actually got it because of the dies. I love the dies. A lot of variety here, and they have like the curved, which is meant to fit the curved ribbon display here. I didn't find a lot of the sentiment that hit my spot on here, but you can mix and match to get what you want. But I love the labels because it gave me an opportunity. And you will see more of these labels that I've die cut as we go. But this is the current sentiment. The other one I have used some of, which is also current, is the branching out set. I did a small video showing how to make a card using the branching out set. I absolutely loved it. And again, I bought the set because I love those graduated size dies, and we will use those a lot. But here it says, from our family to yours. This is not especially Christmas, but it has like wishing you a day filled with many happy moments, or thinking of you brings joy to my heart. There's a lot of sent with love, happiest birthday wishes. So it's not necessarily Christmas, but it worked. Here they are. Okay. Now, older sets. Let's see. May, your season. I'm not sure where that one came from. I think it came from another one, but peaceful season. Thinking of you with warm feelings and wish for merriment. I just, one of the ones I used a lot. Wishing you and yours all the best, or peace and joy. I've used that a lot. This is the brightest glow. It has season's greetings, which I use a lot, but it was a little bit too big for this one. And I like the font on this one. That one came from, where did it come from? Boop. Okay, there it is. Season's Greetings. It came from Merriest Moments, which is a set we had probably a couple of years ago. But I have all these sets. Why not use them? Anyway, I'm going in here. I'm going to add this inside panel to the card. And boom, our second card is done. Let's get it in there. Now, if you get a blob of glue that seems like it's too much, I usually use the tip of this, just kind of spread it out so it doesn't seep so much. This didn't come out so good there. All right. Okay, let's get her there. Oop. Again, I'm looking at the card, taking advantage of those few moments where I can adjust it if needed. And boom, we are done. Now, remember, if you want more information, I have more specifics, but this card, I was able to make 10 from scratch in about 2.5 hours. I was amazed. I was thrilled with the results, but I was amazed. And one of the tips I showed you in making this card is using a grid paper like this as a guide to help you get that ribbon even. Just one of those tips. That's what we do, is we give out tips, right? Okay. That was card number 2. Okay, card number 3. Again, the tradition of Christmas paper front and center. The embossing folder also right there. It just adds such a nice finish to the card. Now, with this one, I used an older set. It worked perfectly for the card, but I decided that would be awkward for you guys to try and figure out, because it's curved, a sentiment to put in there. So what I did was I used a die cut that was straight, and then I found some stamps with greetings that would fit that spot. I know there are others. I've got one that says Happy Holidays that probably would fit, but I would suggest you look around what you already have and see if you can't find something to fit. That's why I went with the straight one. This card, I die cut the floral bouquet, and I also die cut the background paper using the branching out dies. I just love those, okay? Inside, the branching out sentiment from our family to yours works well. And I gave you a die cut that's only half a die cut. That came from the designer series paper side where it was cut off anyway. And I made use of that using the dies that come in the set. I just cut out the part that I had available. I think it's fun. I think it's great to make the best use out of what you have. Again, I hope you have the paper, but if you don't, it's currently out of stock and is due back in the week of November 17th. We're going to assemble the card. I wanted to point out a couple of things, but let me get this going. Okay, you have your card base, the standard card base. And then I'm just reminding you, I usually feel with my fingers. If one edge is slightly longer, I make sure that becomes the front of the card so you don't see a lip. Now, for the sentiment, I went ahead and took one that I'd already stamped. And we're going to add these little bouquet on the inside. And what I did, again, here's where the fine tip comes into its own, is I have to get, there it goes. Okay. I can add a little bit, just a fine little bit along the edge, and then just kind of, make sure it's got glue on the little edges so that it stays in place. Okay. Just a little bit. And then I turn it and I kind of center it on the edge of the card. Now I'm doing this before I put this in the inside of the card to give it a chance to level it out, make sure it has good adhesion, and if you want, put the little weight on it. Now for the front, while we're waiting, we want to put this on there just like we did the other one. And again, I'm using kind of a wavy line, being generous with the glue because of its uneven surface. And then I line this up and I look at it. And if I like it, I leave it the way it is. If I don't like it, I adjust it. And then I'm going to let the weight do its job there for a moment. Now, when I added this piece, this layer, the DSP, I just simply laid it flat. And then when I added the floral bouquet, I put dimensionals behind it. And like I told you with the other card, this one, I put dimensionals on the end, so it's the same level as this, but right in the center, I put a dab of glue. That way, it doesn't have double thickness anywhere. Now, the Designer Series paper, this is retired paper that I'm using, but it's so gorgeous. I don't want to throw it away. I want to use it. And unfortunately, I think you just don't have enough hours in the day to use it all. But I keep trying, and I enjoy the results. And I also especially enjoy it when I find something, oh, this works really well with it. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry again. I'm using the weight. I'm going to add the dimensionals. Now, in this case, I'm going to be using some small dimensionals as well. On the bigger areas, it's no problem to use the standard size. I think I can get one more down here. Okay. Now, we have some smaller areas. Sometimes it's a little easier to place them with the Take a Pick tool. I just want to make sure that this didn't sag. Another trick you can do, which we're working with paper, so it's a little, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut this in half. Try that. All right. I should have another. Yes, I do. Here, I'll use these. I'm just going to take and cut that in half. That's a mini dimensional cut in half because the spot I want to put it is so tight. Okay, there we go. That's one. And two. Oh, I was starting to tell you, one of the things you can do is you can take, since this is paper we're cutting out, you can die cut, like in this case, I took white cardstock and die cut this white cardstock the same die, and then put it behind to give it reinforcement so it's sturdier. That's the one drawback to using the beautiful paper designs, is the fact that you may be too flimsy, and you don't want that. Okay. And then now a lot of people, I'm not real experienced at doing that, but a lot of people use the Take a Pick tool to remove the protective paper. I have fingernails, so mine work good. These dimensional covers are important, but at the same time, when you remove them, they have this magical ability to wander all over the place. I try to corral them and put them in my trash can, but I'll have you know, I'm in my work room, but I'll have you know that I have found these in various assorted places, including the bathroom floor, the kitchen floor, even on the entryway rug. And then I'm just kind of centering this over the die cut. Okay, that gives it dimension. Now I'm going to head and use this, and you see how it's raised up. Can you see the shadow there? I'm going to put dimensionals behind here, and actually I believe that'll take a full-size dimensional. Okay, and then I'm going to put a dab of glue right in the center, just a dab. Remove the protective covering. And then I want it high enough so that I don't lose my bow. And I want it kind of balanced. I could come over just a smidge. Come on. Smidge there. All right. Now we just got to put the inside in. Okay. And there we have it. Third card. I love this card, and I'll be sending it out. I'll tell you, I'll probably make up a bunch more. The paper has so many of these. Some of them, like in this case, it had a couple pink blossoms. This one had all red. Some of them have blue and white. It depends. I used a couple different backgrounds. Both of them were retired paper. Both of them I loved. They were just the right colors to work with. And, just use what you've got. My gosh, you've got it. Use it. Okay. So that is card number 3. Now we're just about at the hour point. So I'm trying to cut the time down so it doesn't take so long. Anyway, there's your next card. Now we're to the fun fold again. Get my stuff all out here. I'm going to put this in with the instructions. Okay. Fun fold time. Okay. This is our 4th card. And it opens like this. And you have your sentiment on the inside. Again, using the gorgeous paper from Traditional Christmas. Also using the branching out dies and one of the traditional label dies. We're using this one here. So before we get too far, if you have your sentiment, you might want to consider getting it stamped. But personally, it's not a problem if you wait, because you want to be sure that when you stamp your sentiment and the card is closed, it doesn't show top or bottom. You want it kind of in the middle. And that's what I did. And the other thing that you'll find in your set, you get to do a little fussy cutting. I roughly cut out a flower from the paper, and you get to fussy cut around it to add your little embellishment for the inside. I love it. when they provide you with all the fun things that you need. Now this one, I'm going to try and follow the directions a little because this is a fun fold. That's a little more challenging. Okay, now I folded yours to on one side to get it to fit in the envelope because it would have been too long. The card base is 5.5 inches by 10 3/4 inches. That's 1/4 less than 11. When I was cutting these out, I made a mistake and forgot to cut the 1/4 inch off. Well, it threw it off. So to help me, I took a strip of what I couldn't use and I cut it right. And then I would match it up to make sure, oh, I had it done correctly. Now you're going to want to fold. You're going to have mountain fold, valley fold, and a mountain fold. And when these fold, you have an opening here, which is kind of the fun of it. And then it opens out like this. Okay. Now, what I did in preparation, oh, let's see. Let me do this first. I'm going to take, and I'm going to do my layers. Now, this Merry Christmas stamp that I used, it came from the Brightest Glow. This is a large enough label that you could easily find other sentiments that will fit. I just happen to like the Merry Christmas, and so I used it. All right, so let me look at my sample card. Oh, by the way, this is a card that we're doing, and it's on a white card base. This is a second card of the same, but it's done on the Secret Sea card base. And the Secret Sea is in the paper, so it works well together. In this case, and you may want to do this, I used the sentiment and I die cut again with the branching out dies, and I put it inside and then added my die cut flower. And I can do that after I assemble the card, so I know that it's not going to be where it shouldn't show. So that's just something to consider. So we are going to do our labels. Again, you can feel the back side is rougher, so you know which is the back from the front. Sometimes that can be confusing. And I'm careful to stay away from the very edge because actually the dies cut a little hole and glue can seep. Okay. Here's one. And I want to look at it and make sure I've got it centered where I want it. And then while it's doing its thing, I'm going to take, where'd it go? There it is. I'm going to take my little weight. It's a tile. And I'll go ahead and put this on this one. Give them a chance to adhere so it doesn't slide around on you when you're trying to put things together. Okay, let's look at it again. Okay, got to bring it down a little bit, make sure it's centered, and label and level. Okay. Okay, and then we're going to go do that. And then we're going to work on, okay, I'm going to take, and I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use my favorite tool, the Stamparatus. While you're waiting for me to do that, if you want to take your flower and fussy cut it out, Now would be a good time. Okay, for this one, I'm using my Stamparatus, and the sentiment I chose, these magnets are so strong. Oh, they're so strong. Okay, I just passed by them and they want to come and follow me. Okay, I'm going to take, and I'm going to put this in here. I've already set this up so it is lined up as it needs to be. And I'm just kind of giving myself some security here. Let's see, over here. Hold it in place. All right. Now I'm going to take, I'm using Real Red ink. A lot of my cards, I've been using a lot of Real Red. It just goes with what I'm using. And then I bring it over here and I just press it down. Now, I did check to see that it was more in the middle, so I didn't have to worry about it showing. Now, if this hadn't been dark enough, I could have gone back over it right away. And because it was secured, and I would have had, oh, let's see, I lost my cleaner. There it is. I would have been able to go right back over it and not worry about it, you know, because it would have been right in the same spot. One of my number one favorite things about Stamparatus. Another favorite thing, when you're doing cards in bulk, like say you're doing a bunch of these and you want the sentiment in all of them, that is the easiest way, quickest way to get the sentiments. I honestly mourn that Stampin' Up's not carrying the Stamparatus, and I sincerely hope that they will return sometime soon once the legal issue thing gets resolved. But we pay the price. Anyway, there is positioning tools out there that you can use. My opinion, because I've looked at some of them, my opinion is Stampin' Up, Stamparatus was better than any of the others I saw. Word of caution. This is from comments I've read from other people. The one that's sold by Ranger was having some difficulties with, apparently the surface wasn't even and the stamps weren't stamping correctly. That could be a big problem. So this is a word of caution there. From what I could tell, the Misty who brought the lawsuit that's caused the problem, hers has been dependable, but unlike the Stamparatus, her doors are fixed. You get one door, you don't get two doors, and you can't move them. You can't take them off. And personally, if you've seen me in a bit of my classes, I use both sides of the door. So I'm moving them, switching them around, or maybe depending on how involved. Some of the stamps we have are multiple layers, and I line them all up, and then I just change the doors so I can continue stamping as I need to stamp. I just found the Stamparatus to be the top in my line. Anyway, back to the stuff. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and glue these two together now and put them aside, because then we're going to put the card together. Add the pieces of the designer series paper to the card. Okay, hold it up. Make sure I've got it even how I want it. And when I'm happy with it, we'll set it aside. I'll use the weight. And there we go. Let's get our card done. Now, when I cut these papers, I'm going to move this to the side for a minute. when I cut these papers, I did them in sequence on purpose. And my thought was that visually it would give it follow through or fluid. But what I discovered was when I did that, it didn't really matter so much because they were kind of separated. Now in this case, these two are in sequence. This might be, except that it's covered so you don't really see it. So it's up to you when you're doing this for yourself, whether you want to keep the fluidity or just put them on. Up to you. I just gave you that option from the way I cut them. Again, we're applying glue. Now, I've seen a lot of demonstrators simply use the tape runner, but I like to be able to adjust it so that I feel that it is in the right place before I settle it in. That's just me. If you are confident, go for it. Personally, I like what I do and I want it to look right, and I want my best chance to have it be that way. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm going to put some weight on this while we work on the other one. Now that silence you're hearing is my concentration. Okay. Look at that. We're almost done. Whew. And then we just add the strips down here. Again, I'm leaving a little space on each, the top and the sides, or in this case, the bottom and the sides. Although I can't really hear you, and that's where the chat comes in if you know how to use it, I do feel, how do I say it? I feel like it's nice having company while I create and I can share. I feel like, yes, I want to make the cards. Okay. But I feel like I'm getting an extra bonus because I'm getting to share it with somebody at the same time. Does that make sense to you? Anyway, I appreciate you showing up for the class. I hope you enjoy what I've been showing you and that I have given you some tips that make it that much better for you. And now I'm going to do a little fussy cutting while that dries. Now, again, it's a matter of preference. Some people like to have more space showing between the actual design and where they cut, I just try to make what looks good. I kind of feel it this way, feel it that way. Mostly I try not to cut my design because I want it to look pretty. Another tip I've heard from others is they say rotate the paper, not the scissors. And I agree with them. Much easier that way. Okay. And then I can add this in my corner. Real easy like. I also feel, now this is something that actually would go into the nights I spent many Christmases wrapping packages. I always felt that it would be fun to do that in the company with other people. And this is kind of close to that same idea. I love creating, but I love creating with others and sharing what we create. Okay, so inside of the card is done. Now we need to add the front panel. Just and this one, let's see, I'm trying to decide. I think I just used the tape runner again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along this edge. And I'm using this as a guide how long to make it. I'm just putting a strip there. Let's see. Yeah, it did. Okay. Sometimes it's hard to see with shiny paper. And then I'm going to use, it's going this way, I'm going to use a strip there. Okay. And then I'm going to close this. Okay. And when I put this on, I want it kind of centered. Make it sure it's set straight. And there you have it. There is your card. Isn't that awesome? We did it. We did it. Because the paper, the Traditions of Christmas paper is currently out of stock. It's kind of put a wrinkle in my idea for my next cards that I wanted to do. I was just honestly having so much fun with this paper. But I thought I'd show you my ideas, but it may have to be changed. This is, again, using both sides of the Christmas paper, the Traditions of Christmas paper, and the die cut floral arrangement. And then in the dies, they also have these holly leaves and the pine branch. And I just thought, oop, let me get this where you can see it. Okay, the floral arrangement, pine bough, holly leaves, and then I just decorated the inside. The there's a ribbon that Stampin' Up! Carries. I don't know if it's still available or not, but it was a narrow ribbon and it had the gold trim. It was red. I just thought it was perfect. So that's what my idea was to use. This card is another fun fold, and it uses this sentiment here to hold it kind of as a clasp. and then you can write your message inside. It's using both sides of the same paper. Again, the floral bouquet as a centerpiece. This one is um, using that gorgeous paper that we just used on this last card that we made. Again, I used the holly leaves, only this time die cut in gold. And these are the glittery dots that come with the set. This is just another piece of ribbon. This is the backside of one of the papers. And because of this light pool party blue that's in here, the card base is also pool party. And then I used another strip of the paper as decoration for the inside. These, I wasn't sure about when I ordered these, if I'd like them or not. But hey, they work great for the center of the flower. I don't know how well you can see that, but they have nice sparkle to them. Anyway, and then the last one, again, using the paper, and I'm not sure where those die cuts came from. I'll have to look it up. These are smaller die cuts that I had that I prepared in anticipation of doing another one sheet wonder and putting together 8 cards using that same one sheet wonder that I taught you. One of the sets has these little, oh, I'll have to look. Anyway, I used them, and it's using a reverse side of the paper again, but it was fun. It was just a fun. And this is another one of those textured notes dies that I used as well. It just adds that little extra something. But with the paper being out of stock, I may have to make a change there. I'm going to do some more research. So I can't promise that we will be doing all of these cards, but if I have to make changes, I think I still want to show you this one. This is just so awesome. And I like this one as well. So we'll see what I come up with, but that's just what I'm working with right now. Anyway, thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. I also did another video yesterday that is for general public. Basically, it's geared for people who are just getting started in stamping, and it covers over some of the basic supplies that you need. And while most of you have been with me for a while, you might find some benefit in watching it. Also, you could benefit me if you do watch it, because you could let me know if I missed something in there or I needed to clarify something. I appreciate the feedback. I don't learn unless I hear or learn, get feedback from people. So thank you for coming. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope that these cards inspired you to get started with the Christmas card making. I know I've been pretty busy making mine, and I've got to really dig in and start getting the rest of them done. I'm about halfway. So, but anyway, I love these cards, and I hope you love them too. And have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.